What is going on, everybody? So I wanted to start this video off by saying that this really is not a video that I wanted to make, but with a bunch of people leaving comments on my videos, a bunch of people tagged me on Twitter and Instagram talking about the Jalen Ramsey interview that went on yesterday morning on NFL Countdown before the 1 o'clock game started. A lot of people were wanting to know my opinion about it, and I wasn't going to touch on it just because, quite frankly, I'm kind of tired of talking about Jalen Ramsey. I'm tired of the circus around him. And second of all, he's not a Jaguar anymore. So, it's time to kind of move on and focus on the Jaguars. But I did listen to the whole interview, and I think it's relevant just because it kind of sheds a light on what's kind of going on in the front office and just kind of the culture that has been set. So, I listened to the interview. And now I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on the interview. First of all, the interview was in some kind of, it looked like a hotel room or something. And the interviewer was Ryan Clark, a former defensive back in the NFL. And I thought the interview was very cringy. And the reason I say that is because Ryan Clark he's an ESPN analyst. He's not a journalist, so he's not. I didn't think he had very good flow to the interview just because I thought I was kind of hopping all over the place. I thought it almost seemed like it's almost like the agent sent over questions for him to read off to him because he wasn't really hitting a lot of very any questions to make him look bad. Like he wasn't asking, what was it like? He wasn't asking anything about the back injury too much. He wasn't, because Jalen Ramsey reportedly was cleared by 3 different doctors that he could play. He never really stated that. He never asked him about that. He never asked him what the impact he felt had on his teammates by him, not playing or anything like that. And another thing that I saw, it was like the guy, Ryan Clark, just kept pumping Jalen Ramsey up. You're the best player on the Jaguars. How does that make you feel? You are the best cornerback, in the NFL. And you are, just talking about how he's the best at this and best at that. You deserve all the money. So it was just feeding into his ego. And I don't know, I would have rather a guy he wouldn't have done this, but a Pete Prisco, because Pete Prisco would have gone out there and asked the tough questions. But we've got, it almost seemed like a controlled interview where he knew what was going to be asked, he knew what he was going to say, and he did it. But, Jalen Ramsey, I guess he didn't have to do the interview. So, he kind of got to air his grievances and whatnot, and he got to move on. So, it kind of starts off by him saying that he's happy to be on the Rams now because he can be himself, on and off the field, whatever. And he also kind of said that he had a really good relationship with his teammates and his coaches. And when he asked about, where did it all start going south for you? He immediately said that it happened when the whole regime change happened in 2017. So, basically with the front office, so basically saying, when Tom Coughlin came in. He never said Tom Coughlin, but he was all around Tom Coughlin when he was talking about them, and he said that that's kind of when it first all went wrong. And then he backtracked a little bit by saying, look, I participated in voluntary mini camps my first 2 years on the Jaguars, and I wound up getting hurt both of those sessions. So I decided that I was going to, stop, do my off-season training in Nashville with people that I trust, whatever. That's fine. That's fine with me. And then he said that when Tom Coughlin, because Tom Coughlin at the state of the franchise, he addressed the media talking about how we currently have voluntary workouts going on and, all players should be there. And I think all but 2 players or something like that are there. So he was kind of indirectly calling out Jalen Ramsey and Telvin Smith because those are the 2 guys that did not report. So it was something that Tom Coughlin did get fined for. And it was ultimately something that he shouldn't have said. Tom Coughlin, he's in the fault here. He shouldn't have gone out there and called them out because it's voluntary stuff. However, if you do want to get on Tom Coughlin's side, you can say that there was no communication going on between, Telvin Smith and Tom Coughlin, and Jalen Ramsey and Tom Coughlin. So he did not know why they weren't there. Telvin Smith still has, I don't think he's still communicated with them, but Jalen Ramsey basically said that, he felt disrespected when Tom Coughlin said that. He said that, by not going, he was talked to the media and basically portrayed as a bum. But Jalen Ramsey said that, look, when they were reaching out to me, they had the wrong number. I changed my number, so they didn't have the right number. So, when I see this, it's like, in my opinion, I think if you're not going to go, you at least owe the coaches and the front office a reason why you're not going. Don't just magically not show up and then your thought, and then once they go to the meeting and say, look, all players aren't here, we expect everyone to be here. And then that shouldn't trigger you to go out and reach out and say, hey, this is why I'm not here. That shouldn't be done through the media. That should be done before and say, hey, look, this is what I have going on. I'm going to go out here and this is that. So I feel like both of them are kind of in the wrong. It's a little ridiculous. He said that they didn't have the right number when they were reaching out. It's just a little strange to me, but that was kind of the first thing. And he said that, when he came back to the Jags, once the 3-day mandatory stuff came about and he showed up, that it was never brought up. Like, they didn't bring him into the meeting room and talk about it. It never happened. So I guess that rubbed him the wrong way, how they went out and said something and it didn't wind up happening. Like, they didn't wind up addressing it again. So yeah. And then I guess the second time was the big challenge flag fiasco. Now, he did preface this by saying that him and Doug Marrone do have a good relationship. Doug Marrone has, gone out to Nashville to see him work out and stuff like that. And, and judging by what they kind of talk about in the media, like when Doug Marrone addresses the media, that he always backs the players. He never calls players out, so I can understand that. But he said that the challenge flag really rubbed him the wrong way. And he said that, look, I get tasked with the hardest job in a defense where I follow a number one receiver. And that him being a top player, the coaches should respect him and trust him to be able to throw the flag. But he didn't, and that really rubbed him the wrong way. He even got physical with Doug Marrone on the sidelines, and and after the game, Jalen Ramsey gets called into a meeting room. He said there was 4 guys in the meeting room. 2 guys he respected and 2 guys he didn't respect. The 2 guys he didn't respect, I guess, were standing up over him and, talking down on him. So, one of those guys is Tom Coughlin. We already know that. But we don't know who the second guy is. It might have been Dave Caldwell, maybe John Idzik. I would think, I don't know if the guy sitting down, I imagine Tony Khan was one of those guys. I don't know if Shad Khan was in Houston or not, but I imagine Tony Khan was one of the guys he respected. I know he respects Shad Khan. I know he doesn't respect Tom Coughlin, and I don't know how he feels about Dave Caldwell. Maybe he doesn't respect him. I don't know that much. But, he basically, and he's like, look, I get taxed with the toughest job on a defense. I had to follow a number one receiver. They need to trust me to do that. And honestly, I don't think I don't at all think, like, Jalen can call for the flag, but he's challenge it. But at the end of the day, it's not his decision to challenge. It's Doug Marrone's. And is the risk worth the reward? It wasn't a big, long, it was like I think it was like a 12 or 13 yard completion or something like that. I probably should have looked it up before this video, but it wasn't much. It was a first down, and then Jalen, the whole entire drive, was bitching. He was looking at the sidelines, talking to the coaches. I mean, he was very upset. And then he got physical with the coaches on the sideline. And that's where, he always plays this I was disrespected, this disrespect card. It's like, putting your hands on the coaches, that's extremely disrespectful. You're in no right to do that. And, I think what kind of goes around comes around. I understand the Tom Coughlin thing, but, at the end of the day, he just wasn't happy in Jacksonville. And I think it was a combination of Tom Coughlin in the front office, and I think it's just Jacksonville, the city of Jacksonville. I think that Jalen Ramsey is wants to be a high-profile player, wants to be a very marketable player. I think he's a player that wants to play in a big market. And, he's all throughout his time in Jacksonville, like, I don't ever think that the Jacksonville media really disrespected him all that much, but he acts like the media did. I mean, he went on after in 2018, in the 2018 training camp, the camera showed Yannick Ngakoue and Dante Fowler getting in a little bit of a tussle. And then Philip Howman of the Florida Times-Union records it. And then Jalen Ramsey's goes and cusses him out. And he goes and blocks all the media members off of Instagram or off of Twitter and stuff like that. And I just feel like he's just very he always feels like people are out to get him. And I didn't think it was that way at all in Jacksonville. I mean, you read articles and even in the Jacksonville media, Jacksonville media, they're very soft. They never, and it drives me nuts when I listen to these press conferences because these journalists, it's like they never ask tough questions. Pete Prisco is a guy that always asks tough questions. And one guy that I loved in Jacksonville that is no longer in Jacksonville, he now covers the Denver Broncos, but that was Ryan O'Halloran. Ryan O'Halloran, I mean, he was Jalen Ramsey's first enemy. And just because he would ask him the tough questions, and they didn't like that. And then, that's when a lot of players didn't like Ryan O'Halloran because he went out there and asked the questions that the other guys are too scared to ask. And, they didn't have all that much in Jacksonville. And I just felt like, when I listen to talk radio and I read articles, they all portray Jalen as being this great player. I don't know why he was so defensive and act like everybody was out to get him, because I really don't feel like it was. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to get too worked up about this. Obviously, we lost a great player. He's a great player. I loved him on the field, but I was always just annoyed with him off the field. And, he's talking about he wants to be himself on and off the field. Just a few months ago, he jumped out of a Brinks truck on his way to training camp, and he acts like he can't be himself on and off the field, but whatever. And a lot of people, and really my thing, I'm not a big fan of Tom Coughlin. Obviously, he hasn't set up the best culture in Jacksonville. I think his job was to kind of come in here and tighten the ship, which he did in 2017. We rolled, we were a disciplined team and stuff like that. But, at the end of the day, it's culture that matters. And, we are let's face it. A lot of these players are younger, they feel entitled, and they're great. When you're as talented as you are, and when you're as rich as these players, you're gonna have players dealing with entitlement issues. But there's no way around that, and you've got to have the right people, setting the culture. I think younger is the way to go. You look out in the 49ers, they have guys like John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan running it over there. Over on the LA Rams, Les Snead and Sean McVay. I would like to try to go young. And honestly, I would just be happy with getting rid of just Tom Coughlin. I wouldn't mind just having Dave Caldwell and Doug Marrone, because Doug Marrone at this point, you got to give him some credit. We are sitting at 3-4, but he is at 3-4 after losing his starting quarterback in the first quarter of the season and haven't gone through all the drama of losing potentially your best player out there, and all the drama that surrounded him. And he's sitting at 3-4 right now. So with all the distraction that he's having to deal with, and the fact that he's having to be the fall guy for everything, it's very annoying how, after every single draft pick, the Dave Caldwell and Tom Coughlin will come out there and talk to the media on why they did it. But the biggest trade in franchise history, where you literally acquired 2 first-round picks, you're not going to go out there and talk to the media. You're not going to say anything about it. And you're having a frustrated Doug Marrone going out here and saying, look, I don't know. And that's one thing that drives me nuts. And that's one thing that even Jalen Ramsey said. He would do something, and the front office guys would act all cool with him in the hallways, but apparently, they went and called his agent, and he had to hear from his agent something that Jalen did wrong. And that's, it's not, and I've dealt with people like that in my life, and it's annoying. And really, and that's how you're going to be. You're literally just going to be silent about it and act like nothing happened. They've got to come out and say something. Just go out. You don't even have to take questions. Just go out, have a 5-minute statement just a monologue like I'm doing here right now. Just have a monologue and talk about what you did. And I think that would have cleared a lot of things up. But they didn't do that. And there's not a lot of transparency with Tom Coughlin in the regime, you know. And I'm honestly even fine with keeping Dave Caldwell because, I mean, you look at some of the past drafts. I mean, we've got some good talent on this team, a lot of good young talent. I mean, just look, I mean, the 2017 draft, Leonard Fournette is leading the NFL in rushing. I mean, you can talk about how he missed on quarterbacks, whatever, but he's leading the NFL in rushing. Cam Robinson, he seems like he's going to be a formidable left tackle. You know, DeJuan Smoot, the third-round pick, is showing off. You know, D.D. Westbrook, your fourth-round pick in that draft, he's our number 2 receiver, getting off a 100-yard year. You know, 2018 NFL draft, Taven Bryan is doing good. You know, he led to a pick 6 last game. DJ Chark, he's turned into a number 1 receiver. You know, Ronnie Harrison, he was a 3rd-round pick. He had his coming off his best game. I mean, you know, 2019 NFL draft, Josh Allen, dude, he's on pace to, you know, have double-digit sacks. You know, Jawan Taylor, he's going to be a really good right tackle. And, you know, we've got, I do like these last few drafts. I think we're at a point where we don't have to be big free agency spenders. We can just spend that money on Yannick Ngakoue, and we can go out right now, and I feel like, you know, not even do much in free agency and just use our draft capital to keep building our team. And I think that we're going to be good. And hell, I didn't even mention the fact that in last year's draft, we literally got Gardner Minshew, or this year's draft, we have Gardner Minshew, who is 3-3 as a starter. So, you know, I do like the way our roster is built right now. We're not like the Houston Texans right now, where the Houston Texans, like, they're mortgaging everything. They traded 2 first-round picks for Laramie Tunsil. Just today, they traded a 3rd-round pick for Garyon Conley. I mean, they're built to win today, as opposed to the Jags that I think we're set up for, you know, a good run in the future with the draft capital that we have. And we just have to do what's right with that. But, yeah, I did want to touch on the Jalen Ramsey thing. Obviously, like, you know, it's a big culture thing, but at the end, and people are going to talk about, I do want to mention this. They say, like, look, we've ran off some of our best players, like Allen Robinson. I want to touch on him. They say that Allen Robinson is Tom Coughlin's fault. Really, Allen Robinson didn't want to be in Jacksonville, I think, because of the quarterback. I don't think he wanted to play with Blake Bortles. Not like his situation right now with Trubisky is any better. I mean, hell, can you imagine what Allen Robinson would be doing if, like, Aaron Rodgers or something like that was throwing him the ball? But he's been stuck behind bad quarterbacking. I think that was his deal. And Telvin Smith, no one knows what the hell is up with him. Maybe it is Tom Coughlin, because I think, you know, just a week or two after Tom Coughlin had that announcement, you know, had that statement at the state of the franchise, that's when he decided that he wasn't going to play this year. And, I mean, but no one really knows what's going on with him unless they actually know him. We can speculate all you want. We can speculate, oh, it's Tom Coughlin. Maybe it was mental health issues. Maybe, you know, there's some stuff going on with his family that we don't know. We know a couple years ago his brother died, you know, from, like, a shooting or something like that. I mean, it's all just speculation. So, but yeah, the culture has to be fixed. It has to be a happier culture. You know, I think at one time under Gus Bradley, it was too lackadaisical, and that's when they wanted to bring it in and tighten ship. I think they've done what they needed to do. You know, I think that we have good, you know, I think that everything is right now when it comes to probably I don't know. I think the roster is good. We'll still see about Doug Marrone. I still think that the job is up in question to me. I mean, I do think that where he is right now after what's happened to him, I think he's done a good job with it. I think he's been put in horrible situations as a Jaguars head coach, especially just from, like, the quarterback position and stuff like that. But, you know, another reason we need to get rid of Tom Coughlin is, like, if we do fire the head coach, then the Jaguars opening all of a sudden becomes very unattractive because they have a micromanager, Tom Coughlin, breathing down their neck. But, yeah, that's this video. This is going on 19 and a half minutes, so I don't want to take up too much of your time. But thank you guys for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts on the situation down below, and I'll see you guys in my next video.